Now, the internet is taking advantage of a lot of people, and you were kind enough to provide me with some top 10 online scams that our viewers should be aware of. And I guess the first one in your list of the top 10 is the job hunter scams. Do not apply if the job requires an upfront fee for a starter package. Want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, yeah, the job hunter scam, for one thing, the very fact that we have a big challenge in this country as far as unemployment shows just how disgusting the scammers are. They look for people that are in difficult situations to take advantage of. And this is one. We have a lot of unemployed people in this country. I think about 3 million people lost their jobs in the recession. So they're targeting people that are desperate, and what they're trying to do is get money from people up front with a promise of employment, and of course you don't get a job, but you are out the money.
What about and I'm not talking about FISHING, the phishing scams, the PHIS on the web?
Well, it's surprising that it is, the whole intention behind phishing is to get personal information about people for identity theft, exactly. And it's actually number 10 of the top 10. Many people would think, well, wouldn't that be number 1? Identity theft is a very serious thing to be concerned about. And you have to be very tenacious about guarding your social security number, any personal information you have, bank account numbers, credit card numbers, and things like that. Because many of us do business online, and that information is there. We don't want to send it to the wrong people because they'll use that information for identity theft purposes. One
thing which is not on your list, but I happen to think of it because it happened to me yesterday, and it happened to be about 8 or 9 months ago. I got an email from a friend who said that they're stranded in Scandinavia and they need $2,300 to get out of the situation that they're in Scandinavia, and could I please send them the money right away to get out of the situation, and they would pay me when they get back home. Well, the only thing is, first of all, I know the person is home and not in Scandinavia, but and the same thing for the other person that was a friend of mine. There's a lot of that going on now, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, that is an example of how it's done, imitating another business or another individual to gain your confidence.
Now, you were talking about those people that say, we're going to do your driveway, and I guess those are the kind of folks that your driveway looks great until the first rainstorm. And then it looks like it did prior to them coming. When you run into that sort of a situation, or is there anything legally that can be done, or you pretty much just have to accept the loss and realize that someone took advantage of you?
Well, yeah, it's difficult because you're probably dealing with someone that's not from the area, and that's very intentional. What the Better Business Bureau can do is warn people, and a program like this is a great way for us to get the message out to not do business with people like that. Not only do you not get a good job done, sometimes nothing gets done. They'll try to get as much money as they can up front, sometimes the whole amount. And that's when you're in trouble. In that case, you probably don't want them to touch the driveway or whatever it is they're supposed to do, because we hear complaints about jobs unfinished, they're started, they've torn things up, and then they've disappeared. So you're right, it's kind of hard to be able to catch these folks and to hold them accountable.
What about businesses that are located in a community and you can follow them? What sort of legal action could one take? Do they go to the Better Business Bureau and report that, they did business with this company located in, say, the city of Rensselaer, and they're, kind of shady and they didn't deliver? Or is there legal action? Can they go to the courts, the police?
Well, they can. As a nonprofit organization, we're not affiliated with law enforcement or the government in any way. But what we can do is, in many cases, prevent people from having to go the legal route. In other words, if it's an established business in the organization, as we mentioned earlier, they know that this complaint is going to be reflected in the record that anyone can see. And if they don't resolve the complaint, if they are accredited by the Better Business Bureau, they get expelled and all the bad press that goes along with that. And even if they're not accredited by the Better Business Bureau, everybody can see what they're doing.
Okay. The next is debt relief and settlement services. When a debt settlement company claims they can eliminate interest rates, this should be a big red flag. Talk about that a little.
Well, sure. And again, isn't that terrible? There are people in terrible financial straits.
You hear the commercials on the radio all the time.
Yeah, and by the way, the commercials, check everything out, I guess is what I would say. There was one organization that was, for example, advertising free credit score information. Anyone can get credit reports from the 3 credit bureaus and find out all that information that the credit bureau has, except for one thing: they don't give you your credit rating. So people would like to know what their credit rating is. People are telling us all the time that you can't get a loan or a good rate and so on. You're really limited in what you can do if you don't have a good credit rating. And you'll see a commercial that says you can get this information for free. You find out later that you need to sign up and join and pay. And then it's supposedly free, and it goes along with the membership. And that's one of the examples of the ways that they trick people into what they think they're getting for free. They're really paying for.
What about organizations that claim they represent the Better Business Bureau and have your logo? Or I've received some that claim they represent banks and use the bank's logo to get information from you. How do you protect yourself from that?
Again, that's one of the great things about the Better Business Bureau website. You can check it out. And I'm glad that you mentioned this, because if I want to do business with you and I see that you have the Better Business Bureau logo, anyone can copy and paste anything these days. I mean, you can pretty much steal someone's almost entire website if you know how to do it. But you do have a way to check, and that's go to bbb.org, the Better Business Bureau website, and check to see if they're legitimate.
What about you hear these offers on radio and television, and also you see them on the internet, or you see them in newspapers, where you can work from home and hardly have to do anything and make thousands of dollars a week? Mm-hmm.
Sounds too good to be true, yes. So it probably is the old saying. And but again, there's, sometimes people are again, you're looking at for the most part unemployed people, and then we have lots of them, unfortunately, right now, very susceptible to that sort of thing. The senior citizens are another group that are targeted, and by the way, it's not for some of the reasons that people might suspect, but they're available. They're home in most cases. They're not at work. You can reach them, so they have time to work on folks that are retired and other senior citizens, just like unfortunately our veterans, the military. So there's actually a whole part of the Better Business Bureau devoted to helping military personnel. That if you've been in the military, especially since you were young for several years, and now you're going through the transition and trying to adapt to civilian life again, you may not be and probably are not familiar with a lot of the scams and other things that are going on. So again, these scammers are going to target these military people and try to take advantage of them. So what we try to do is make information available, not just to people that have left the military, but people in the military on our bases and right here in New York State, and try to make sure they have the information that they need to not get taken advantage of.
I understand with the unemployed, the military, or senior citizens, they are people that are sort of lonely, and it might take an organization 2 or 3 phone calls. They'll develop a relationship with the individual, and then they go and pow, and they get the money. You find that to be the case?
Yeah, that is one of the tactics, unfortunately, winning people's trust. Well, I've talked to them several times. They can't really be crooks, but they're just clever. What
about time share resellers? That's another one you warn people about.
Well, the truth of the matter is, I guess a lot of it has to do with the housing market. When you're getting promises that, hey, we're gonna double the money that you spent 10 years ago, let's say, on a timeshare, it is highly unlikely. And again, what they are doing is trying to get money up front. We have fees. If you can pay us this fee up front, we can arrange this deal for you. And of course, there's no deal that follows. You're just out the money.
What about the not so free trial offers?
Happens all the time, right? In fact, sometimes they happen without you even knowing it. I remember about 2 years ago, I was buying movie tickets online, and I was very careful not to sign up for anything. But they signed me up anyway. And what they signed me up for, I noticed on my credit card statement that I was getting a monthly charge. And I actually, to be honest, missed it the first month. And I can't believe that I did, but I did. And it was about $12.95 or something along there. And somehow I missed that one. The second month I caught up with them. And it was very interesting, because I called and I told them what the complaint was, and they didn't argue at all. They just said, oh, no problem, and immediately took care of it. So this is an organization that is consciously doing this, and to not get complaints, they're fixing the problem right away. But the vast majority of people that are getting signed up may not be calling.
Now, we talked about the in-person rogue and home repair scams and roof repairs. How does that work on the internet? as far as a scam, these same people, we talked about people coming in person, going up and down your street, but on the internet, how are these people sucking people in?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're talking about spam now, right? So you want to be very careful about any emails that you're getting, information over the internet that you haven't asked for. And yeah, you're right. We see those things all the time where you start to wonder sometimes, where did that information come from? And in a lot of cases, well, probably the best thing to be careful of is whenever you're doing business with somebody, check to see what they're doing with the information, and they're required to tell you. Some organizations will share information with anyone who's willing to buy it from them, and that's exactly what they do.
What about lottery and sweepstake scams on the internet?
Oh my gosh, I had this poor old couple in Elmira called me a few years ago, and they almost made a fatal mistake in terms of one of these scams. They were told that they won $3 million. The woman who called me, her husband got a letter, and it was for a lottery somewhere in Europe. Now, first of all, we're not even in this country legally allowed to participate in foreign lotteries, so that's a big red flag right there. But the first question I asked her was, did you get in, did you play a number? Did you get into this lottery in some way? And she said no. I said, well, do you think there's really any chance that you won a lottery that you didn't enter? And she said, well, I was told that I was randomly selected. Well, she was randomly selected, all right. And that there's information all over the place where you can contact just about anyone on the planet these days, and that's what's happening. People are being contacted, and again, here's the key: asking for money up front. We need to pay taxes to the government of whoever, right, where you supposedly were participating in the lottery. So they ask for the money up front. Whenever people ask you for money up front, when it comes to a lottery or even those employment situations, that's a big red flag. Okay,
we only have about a minute left, and we didn't get through all of the scams on the internet, but what final, I guess buyer beware would be the, it's almost cliche-ish, but what, advice do you have for our viewers today?
The advice is
that are consumers.
Well, consumers and businesses also are consumers, when you think about it, because there are many scams against businesses. But I would say the thing to do is, first of all, if you've never gone to bbb.org, check it out. There's a ton of information that you'll find very helpful in terms of avoiding scams and making good decisions about internet security, and the list goes on and on. So go to bbb.org, see what we're all about. It's a nonprofit organization, been around for almost 100 years, and it's just exceptional, the amount of information that's available to you to make good decisions as a consumer.